All right, this next segment, important for parents of teenagers, grandparents of teenagers, because of this statistic. Every single day, an average of 7 teens die in car crashes. And speeding was a factor in a third of those crashes back in 2011. But now there are new forms of technology where parents can monitor their kids when they're behind the wheel. So how do you do that? Let's ask Lauren Fix, the car coach. Lauren, great to see you. You know, we always talk about technology being a bad thing when you're driving, but this may be the exception to the rule.
Absolutely. Monitoring your kids. I mean, when I first told my kids, and both of them have had this since they were 16, you know, the natural thought is, you're stalking me. No, I'm not stalking you. It actually opened up a great conversation about my experiences in driving and what they had, and they agree that this makes sense. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to monitor every single thing you're doing and where you're going. What I really want to know is, are you speeding? There are places I don't want you to go as a new driver, like on highways and maybe downtown, or maybe to some place that's quite a long distance. So you can kind of create invisible fences for them. And it also opened up the conversation to have a contract between them. So this way they knew what I expected. There were absolute expectations and what they weren't supposed to do. And we had a rule. If you have an accident or if you get caught speeding, you lose the car. So believe me,
you know,
they've heard
because
that
you
loud
have
and
the
clear.
technology. You know, studies have shown that teens who are monitored by their parents, they actually do a better job driving. They're more careful, they drive slower. But I'd have to think you'd be darn mad about it. I'd be hot. The whole point of driving a car is to get away from mom and dad, okay?
Right, that's true. It is about the freedom, but also you can give them those freedoms and still be able to monitor. There's a lot of different systems out there that do different things. I think one of the big things is to have them understand is, listen, speeding is illegal besides the fact that it's dangerous. And it's not a smart thing to do. You've got other things to be concerned about, but this is a big thing. If your kids have an accident, that's a health issue. That could last for the rest of their life.
Let's walk through some of this because I know people want to hear about the My Key. Tell me about that.
Okay. Ford offers something called My Key. They've offered it for a few years, but what I really like about it is it allows you to restrict the mileage. So you can say, listen, you can only drive around town. I don't want you on the highway, so I'm going to limit your speed limit to 45. The car won't go any faster than that. You can say 65. Wow. It's whatever agreement you have. The best part of this is if you take off the seatbelt, you lose the radio. And I tell you, music is so important to this generation to take that away.
Okay,
so
Infinity
that's
Connection
and then also you can monitor.
Infinity Connection has something good. What is that?
Right. They also have speed limits. They also have invisible fences. It allows you to monitor via email. You can get text messaging. And this is great. So you can kind of tell your kids, this is really important. You can drive my Infinity, which is a really nice car. Yes. But here are the restrictions that I'm imposing.
So why don't we just use OnStar, right? I mean, can't you track your team that way?
Well, yes, OnStar has Family Link, and that's in GM vehicles only. It's available on the new vehicles that are coming out. OnStar's been around for a long time, and actually they have an amazing program. However, they've added this Family Link on, so it allows family members to see where the other ones are, like where's your brother or your father. Or, you know, it can be really great also for watching elderly drivers. Like my mother-in-law, I might go, well, I hope she's not going downtown because she gets lost. This will allow you to help them.
That's a great idea. Or, you know, when elderly parents drive after dark. You might know that, too.
Yes.
That's a good thing. Cell control. That sounds interesting. Tell me about that one.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of different things. Some of the different control modules, there's so many different ones. That one's offered by Scosh, which makes sound systems. And what they're doing is they're linking into the onboard diagnostics, which is a little adapter underneath the dash of all cars from 1996 and newer. And it limits the use of cell phones completely. So unless it finds that there is a hands-free device, you can't get cell phone calls, you can't get text messaging, and email alerts don't come in. Yeah, it's great for keeping the kids' hands on the wheel and eyes on the road.
I understand that more teens die from texting and driving than drinking and driving. So that's got to be a big concern for mom and dad out there. Anything else out there you like, you've seen, you've tested?
There's a whole bunch of different applications out there. I know that whether you have an Android or BlackBerry or an iPhone, those are great. There's also Drive Cam, which I find really, really cool. If you find yourself in an accident, and they actually have it on their website, it's called, I believe it's drivecam.com, but if you hit the brakes, it senses that you had an emergency braking situation and tapes that G-forces tell it to click on. It'll actually record those last few seconds before an accident. Good for the insurance company to prove that it may not be your fault. Good for a parent to say, maybe you didn't didn't have an accident, but boy, you had some heavy braking there. We're driving a little fast. So again, ways to open up conversations. Maybe multiple tools would work in many of your kids' cases. Having something that blocks cell phones and then still keeps an eye on what they're doing and where they're going.
It's very, very dangerous driving a car. Lauren Fix, thanks for coming on and explaining to us what you can do to monitor your teen. Thank